This video is sponsored by Squarespace, the place to go to for creating your own slick-looking website or online store.
You've got your wide angles, you've got your quite wides, then you've got your ultra wides, then you've got this thing here which is completely off the scale. It's not fishy-fied fisheye either, it's rectilinear. Yes, put that down on paper, you're not paying attention, or you've got dirty mind, it looks like rectal liner. Rectal linear is geeky speak to mean all the lines are straight, like how you see in real life, except not totally like what you see in real life, because this is so wide, it looks like you've been injected in the bum with some mind-bending drugs. Oh yes.
You look the same, it's just the images will be wide beyond wild, although that hair is a bit wild too. This lens is bonkers beyond belief because it is a 9mm lens, rectilinear. It's the bestest, widest lens that you will probably never own.
There is no other wide angle that goes this wide, full frame. 11mm, yes. 10mm, yes.
9mm, there is now.
1mm doesn't sound like a huge difference, but in the world of ultra wide angles, it does. And let me show you. But first of all, what is it? Well, it's a Laowa. I think there's some branding here. I can't quite see it. It's really subtle branding. Yeah, I think it's a Laowa.
I'll find that logo eventually. Maybe I need one of their macro lenses to help me find it.
But yes, this is available for Leica M mount. Usually doesn't make much sense to me if you're going to buy a premium price product like the Leica M, then you skimp on lenses. But number one, this isn't exactly a cheap lens. And number two, Leica doesn't do anything like this 9mm.
And it's not just a, ooh, check me out with my Leica M crowd that might be interested.
It will be available in Sony, Nikon and Leica L/Panasonic S mirrorless mounts. Not Canon, I hear you say? Well, they're not Canon haters, at least from what I know of. They do other lenses in Canon mounts, but apparently adapted M-mount lenses don't work quite so well on the EOS R, and I'm sure the other mirrorless mounts are exactly a Leica M-mount version, but with a different arse on it.
Simple, if you don't own a Leica, just get the other suitable mount version. It makes sense and it saves you money too.
But yes, there will be a price difference as well, $899 versus $799. For the M-mount version, you get rangefinder coupling, so that's probably where the money goes. But I'm not sure that you really need rangefinder coupling for a lens like this. I mean, 9mm, everything's going to be in focus anyway.
See, this is what you need to do. The maximum aperture is already 5.6, which is kind of small really. 5.6, minimum focusing distance, let's set that to 0.5. If you set minimum focusing distance to 0.5 meters, it goes all the way up to almost infinity. So practically everything is in focus.
Scale focusing is called guessing the distance to the subject. It's dead easy with ultra wides. You can just whack the lens on at f8 and everything from here to just really far away is going to be in focus instead of having to use the viewfinder. Focusing with the rangefinder, and because you don't have the lines for 9mm, moving your eye to external finder. What a faff.
Faff? Why not do away with viewfinders completely then? Okay, so there we go. Legs are in a compromising position. Shop is wide open. Okay, so selfie time. Manual focus only. Leica, of course, didn't put any flippy screens on the camera. What were they thinking? Eh? Oh. Okay, let's try this out. And because of this cable release, I am about 10 centimeters away from the camera, so hopefully the whole frame is in a shot. All this hotness in one frame. Hotness overload.
When you compare the images from both of these lenses, the first thing you'll see is how much wider a 9mm is.
Okay, f8 and B there will be here in fact.
The Laowa is decently sharp. There is some barrel distortion and it gets soft in the corners. Stopping it down brings its sharpness up, but what I want to know is how this compares to a Voigtlander.
Let's change lenses to the Voigtlander 12mm. They've got 10mm, which is, of course, quite a bit wider than this, but I don't have every lens in the world. They've both got built-in metal hoods, so it's nice and robust. Voigtlander has got a focusing tab, which makes it nice and easy to focus, because you just put your finger there and then move the focusing ring around. Laowa is just a smooth, well, not completely smooth, it's got these kind of grippy bits on the ring, which works, but not as cool as a focusing tab.
What else is there to say about the lens? Well, it focuses really close, like 12 centimeters close. I mean, your face will be practically pressed up against the lens. Also, when it comes to filters, well, this is their suggestion because it is ultra wide, so you'll need a big ass filter for it. This one is from H&Y. It's a magnetic filter. It's pretty cool actually. You just slap it on there, and the ones they gave me came with some free fingerprints all over the filters. Lovely. So you just slap it on there like that. You can just stack filters on top. You can stack them forever. Obviously not forever, that would be stupid. But there we are. That's actually very neat. But the thing is, I mean, as I said before, I won't be using the rangefinder to focus, and it's just as well because if you look through the viewfinder, you can't see bugger all.
Oh, okay, great, thank you. It's my new prop. There we are.
At f5.6 you can see that Voigtlander is a bit sharper than the Laowa. Drop it down to f8 however and the Voigtlander becomes so excruciatingly sharp it'll cut your teeth out. Yep, hide those teeth. The Laowa sharpens up too, but I think the Voigtlander has a little edge when it comes to sharpness. But one thing with the Voigtlander is that it suffers from more noticeable magenta vignetting in the corners. This is the stuff I'm talking about right here, but in terms of vignetting, the Laowa performs well considering its wideness. I was quite surprised that there's hardly any colour vignetting with the Laowa because this is a problem with none Leica ultra-wides on a Leica. And even on the Sony a7 III where the Voigtlander struggles with colour cast corners, the Laowa seems to get away with very minimal colour casts, if any. As I said in a previous video, it is hard to get nice looking ultra-wide photos. Even harder when you're trying to do that while riding a bike. But yeah, 9mm. Everything is pushed really far away. You thought 12mm was wide, 11mm was wide. This is not just really wide, it's really damn wide. That's what it is. Maybe more damn wide than you really need most of the time, and I don't just mean when you're taking photos while on the bike. That is a very specific niche. It extends, it lengthens, it pushes, it pulls. It can make those lines too crazy to look at sometimes. 9mm is a bit wide to have under social distancing guidelines. It pushes things even further away, so if you're photographing people, they'll be tiny in the frame. Frames become harder to fill because it quite easily looks quite empty with it being this wide. Very wide. So what's the angle of view? 135 degrees, so you have to be careful with your fingers, your legs, your head, your hair, your hat getting in the frame. But not only that, your shadow is going to spoil the show. As much as you want to take a nice shot, you're going to ruin your own shot. Damn you! I mean, damn me. This is probably not a lens that you'll get as your second or third lens, maybe not even your fourth, because ideally you should have a set of lenses that leaves no gaps in between. I made that mistake when I first bought the Voigtlander 15mm for Leica because at that time my only other lens was a 50mm. You don't go from, oh, this 50mm is a bit tight, it's not giving me enough wideness. Whoa, bloody hell, 50mm wide. So this 9mm is something that you get when you already have that 50mm or 12mm and that isn't wide enough for you. This is a very special lens for very special uses for very special people. But when the time calls for it, when you're in a tight space with lots of detail, you want to take some nice photos of architecture, interiors, stuff like that, when you want to get up close and get that wild and unreal look, this is a fun lens to try out. It's the only lens you can try out at this focal length, and if you want sharp, this is the only lens of its kind at this focal length. So it is the sharpest 9mm ever, if you really need it. Video is sponsored by Squarespace. If you want to set up your own domain, online retail space or website, it's super simple to get started and make your next move with Squarespace. With an easy to use interface filled with loads of templates and backed up with 24/7 customer service. You can try it out with a 14-day free trial and get 10% off your first order with this link and discount code.